Benjies, welcome to the BingeWorthy podcast, part of the Geekish Network. My name is Johnny Randolph, and I have three exceptional co-hosts with me. My first co-host is the wonderful, the lovely Miss Courtney Scott Wright. Courtney, say what's up to the people, man.
Live long and prosper.
And my next co-host is Chuck. Yo, son, tell them where you from, man. Let them know
What
who
it
you
do,
are.
people? We back. Star Trek, Strange New Worlds.
And to round out this cast of characters, yo, he's the new from the Ville, Ricard. Let them know who you are, son.
Hello, Governor. May the
So
force be.
angry.
Oh, cheeky bugger. That's the wrong show. All right.
And we are the Binge-Worthy podcast. The premise of our show is that each week we will binge watch a television series to let you know if you should. If you are in crosstalk, or if you can tell by the references that we're making today, we are reviewing Star Trek Strange New Worlds. The premise of it is Captain Pike is the head of the U.S. Enterprise NCC 1701 in the 23rd century as they explore new places throughout the galaxy in the decade before the original Star Trek. At our show, what we do is we will rate it at the beginning, then we engage in conversation, and then we will re-rate it again. And maybe, just maybe, our illustrious co-host can influence us to change that rating. So I'm going to turn it over to my technical director, Rodney. How did everybody on our cast rank Star Trek Strange New Worlds? Oh, damn, that was easy. So everybody here gave it a full binge out. All right, I cannot be mad at that. Strange New Worlds, it's on what, Paramount? It's Paramount Plus. It's 10 episodes and it has a runtime of approximately an hour. So Courtney, I'm going to start with you. The first Star Trek, it came out in 1966, and since then there have been 12 Star Trek shows with a total of 929 episodes in all of the different various shows. You rated this for a binge out, so I have to assume that you enjoyed it. So tell me, why would fans of the Star Trek franchise enjoy Strange New Worlds?
I feel like Strange New Worlds is probably the closest thing we have on television to the original series. It though a lot of the other series are completely narrative and continuation. Strange New Worlds has a lot of standalone episodes. They do have some that are connected, and the storylines are connected with some of the characters. But for the most part, each one is definitely its own Strange New World adventure. They even introduce us to characters that, we saw in the original series, like the Gorn. And I forgot that the Gorn were even in the original series until my mother reminded me. She's like, yeah, they were there, those lizard dudes. I was like, look at you coming through clutch with the info. And like, I just really love the character building, the pacing, the way they unfold the story. And it just allows us to connect with each individual character and what they're either going through in the story or throughout the entire season. Like the journeys are just so compelling that I really want to be a member of this crew.
Yeah. I thought the crew was super dope, and we're going to talk about that more as we move along. So, Rakab, this series, it takes place in the 23rd century. How do you think the show did from a visual perspective in creating this 23rd century, from design, special effects, costuming, looking, all of those things? How do you think the visual effects impacted your rating?
Well, the one thing about doing a show that is based on the future, does it look like the future? Sure. Looks like the future. It looks like something different than what we have now. And it's hard to take this show into account and not reference the other shows, the other past shows, and the movies. That gave us kind of that look of the 23rd century. Um, do I think this looks like the 23rd century? Yeah. And what they gave us, I think the most interesting thing is when they went to these outposts and these small settlements on other worlds. I was like, oh, that's almost a throwback to the original series, where the original series didn't have the budget. So they would say, oh, this outpost is set up to look like small Midwestern town. And they just shot it somewhere in in some little town or something. And I thought that was actually kind of cool. We saved some money. It's kind of a callback to the way that they used to do things on the original series. But as far as the technology, as far as the look, yeah, it's believable. So there was actually even an episode where La'an went like back in time.
Yeah.
To a different looking, was it San Francisco, or they may have called it?
I think that was a joke, because in one of the movies they go to San Francisco.
It was a different New York City or something.
Third movie.
Yeah, in the third one, I think it was like New York or something like that. And she was making a joke because they traveled back in time to San Francisco.
Yeah, but I think the most interesting thing is that is like, when they were talking about what her version of that being the past, what that looked like, and what his version of the past looked like, and then how it changed in that particular episode. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah.
Well,
The
what's
fourth
up, Chuck?
movie, The Voyage Home.
It's the fourth movie. Yeah, I know they go back in time in one of those. So, Chuck, this is definitely an ensemble cast. How did you think the quality of the acting impacted the overall rating that you gave it?
As you can tell, I didn't rate it this high. And I
thought you rated it.
I'm just messing with you guys.
I'm like,
I was like,
am
I in the Twilight Zone?
Yeah,
as you can tell, I didn't rate it that high. And I think the acting impacted a lot. I'm just messing with you guys.
They've been on one all night.
Jesus.
Does he get a Jedi mind trick? Because I'm like, I could have sworn I saw Binge Ready for Everybody.
I see my face like,
y'all look so surprised.
Right?
Man,
I got on glasses.
I thought the acting was wonderful in this. I really thought everybody played their roles. Each character stood out individually. Even at times, someone got my nerves and didn't get on my nerves, and it made sense on why they did it. I think the way they revealed the characters, because I watched season 1 and season 2 in a 2.5-day stretch.
Oh wow!
And I think the way they as they revealed the characters, and I learned more about the characters, I understood what they were going through. I thought the acting was well done. A couple of times I got tear jerked. There's onions being cut in my kitchen by the ghost, and I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet!" Like the fairy tale episode.
Oh, that's season 1.
That's season 1.
Yeah, season 1.
Yeah. And then later on to connect the fairy tale episode with the same characters, the interaction with the Klingon. That stolen idea.
Oh man.
That stole honor.
We're gonna talk
about
all of those things.
Yeah, not tear jerked on both of those episodes.
Yeah. It's a lot of tear jerking moments, I thought, throughout this series.
Yeah. And Ahura, I love Ahura. I loved how she wasn't sure she wanted to be there or not. And when she made that decision to be there, and how she gained her confidence on the show. That explained why Nichelle Nichols, not only a hot mama, but was a badass on the show, and explain how she became the badass.
She actually,
as a communication officer.
This season helped me to understand more about Ahura in the original season. I was like, she's a communications person. I was like, oh shit, it makes sense now. Like she's engaged in all different forms of communication. So like you get a beat from some alien that you don't know this dialect, and she can communicate it and change it, and she uses technology to put it on the screen to make the interpretation. I was like, oh shit, she's a communications person, and now it makes sense to me.
But it also explains, like, because she's in so many languages and listening to so many different areas, how it's so difficult and easy for her to get lost in those in her work and stay there without connecting.
Yeah.
Like that the Lower Depths episode crossover was probably one of my favorites.
It's the most telling.
We're
It is the
definitely
most
gonna
telling.
talk about those. We're definitely gonna get into those. Okay, so Courtney, in Crosstalk, Chuck asked us to rank our favorite series, our favorite franchises. So I'm gonna start with you first. Rank Captain Pike against all of the other captains, or let's say your top three. Where does Captain Pike fall in there?
Ooh, that is a loaded question. It's interesting because I feel like with Strange New Worlds, and because we have in Strange New World, there's a young Captain Kirk. I almost want to leave out like original series Captain Kirk, just because I want to be respectful, because he's technically not grown up yet. Gosh, Cisco, Janeway, and Pike.
Okay. All right. What about you, Rakai? Okay, cool. What about you, Rakai? Rank Captain Pike.
Number 3, Captain Giorgio.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 2, Cisco. And number 1, Pike.
Number 1, Pike. All right, I like it. All right, what about you, Chuck?
Hair is fantastic, isn't it? Like, what?
Man,
hair is fantastic.
As a guy, right, with none and has never really cared about it, I was super envious. I was like, damn, he's kicking ass and his hair ain't moved or nothing. Like,
yeah, it's like he's pushing to be the new Sean Connery or something, like, too. Like,
perfect. And the jawline and everything. It's like he just looked good.
Yeah, he's out here on his Silver Fox tour. I see you, my boy.
Y'all making this hard. I'm thinking about it now.
Just where do you rank him in relation to the other? He don't have to be number 1. He don't have to be in your top 5.
I mean, he's in my top 3.
Yeah,
he may be 2 or 1. When you said Georgia, and I'm like,
me too. It messed me up because I was like, shit, she was a captain.
But it's not the one that the thing is the one that we fell in love with was never the captain.
Never the captain.
Only one that was the captain
the Empress, right?
was she was not the captain. She
was the Empress.
She was the Empress.
Yeah.
And she came over to our side as a regular person. Mm-hmm. So the one we love was not captain. And we only spent like 12 minutes with the OG, with the other JoJo.
I'm gonna say this. It's probably gonna be Picard, Pike, Cisco. Who else would I put on there? 7 and 9.
But we haven't seen her as captain yet.
I say, is she been a captain? Because she wasn't a captain on Voyager.
She is a captain. Yes, she was. She was a captain at the end of Picard season, whatever this last one was. Mm-hmm. But we haven't seen her be captain.
But she's so badass.
She is, and now I'm mad. I need to re-rank mine.
It's hard. It's hard,
because she did kind of captain after old dude died. Of the Titan. Dang, man. Now I want to redo. Can I do a redo?
Of course. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm still gonna have to go with Janeway. Gosh, it's so hard. Janeway and Pike are gonna have to be like tied.
Okay.
And then and then Cisco and 7-9 gotta be tied too. So I got 4.
Okay. All right.
So went down. Cisco went down. I'm sorry.
I'm going with Picard because he's just always been my favorite. Jean-Luc Picard has always been my favorite captain. Now, I'm going to put Pike at number 2. And then I'm going to go with Empress Giorgio. I don't care if she was captain or not. I just love that character so much. And ain't no way she's not going to make my top 3. Now, this list is fungible because like we're only 2 seasons into Strange New Worlds, and Picard got taken over by the Borg, and Pike ain't had no bad instances like that. So it's very possible. It's very possible, right?
Yeah.
Based on his upcoming future.
Yeah, I know his future's messed up, but like
his future is messed up.
He never got taken over. Like Picard literally killed like Cisco's wife.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he literally killed him. That's why Cisco don't mess with Picard. He was about to swing on him when the Enterprise docked at Deep
he
Space
did his
Nine.
Locutus, right?
When he was Locutus, when Picard was Locutus, when they blew up the planet or wherever they blew it up, Cisco's wife was there and she got killed.
Cisco Black, he don't care what you change your name.
He don't care, right? And he told him that
he always gonna be Locutus.
Yeah, and he was basically like, Locutus, my wife was on that planet, But Picard's still my player, so it's Picard, Pike, and Empress Giorgio. So,
Picard is just like what's her name, Michael Burnham, completely infallible, and except them last 2 seasons they forced us to watch.
He made a lot of mistakes.
I think he made a lot of mistakes too.
But he did. I guess you're right, but I'm still mad about that Picard. I'm still mad about Picard.
But that's because they have Picard falling down the steps. Him and Joe Biden falling down the steps.
The series, and I don't want us to go too deep into it. I don't want us to go because we're talking about
went down a rabbit hole.
Strange New Worlds, but the series Picard, it was what it was.
In the early thousands.
Trash.
But let's talk about a way more positive thing since everybody's seen Strange New Worlds. So, Chuck, I'm gonna transition over to you, man. What separates this bridge from the Star Treks of old?
This bridge did something a lot of Star Treks don't do at all that they did really well with Discovery, and that's they dig in the lives of the people that are on board the ship. I think they dug really deep in, like you think, and Big A and Nurse Chapel know each other, and you don't know to the extent they know each other until you saw an episode with them together during the Klingon War, and you're like, oh, they know each other. They ride or die with each other. Yeah. And then you understand, but she didn't know about him hiding his daughter in the transporter. Like everybody had secrets. And they picked and choose who they told the secrets to. So there's a lot of people don't know all the secrets.
But it made so much more sense when it brought this episode when it explained how he came to have his daughter in the transporter, when you saw what he did on the front lines as a triaging patients. That was so gut-wrenching.
So smart. How he got it, that he was doing that for another patient was like, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. And he had that special juice. Yeah. And he's the one that had, and they're like, we need that juice. He's like, I ain't got any more. They're like, you're the one that can make it. Yeah, I don't make it anymore. Yet he had a whole thing of it. He still had some of it.
Yeah, his super soldier serum.
Super soldier serum. Yep. And how that played into Des Klingon. It claimed he murdered his own generals to stop the war, and he ran off. He gave the order and ran.
Listen, Mister. We're not gonna give spoilers.
Man, that episode's so good.
Yeah, Mr. Spoiler Free.
Yeah, let's look. So I'm gonna jump in.
Mr. Spoiler Free. You're right.
Mr. Rakai.
Yes, sir.
Courtney talked about how each of the episodes
first one.
They lived on their own. We'll talk about the episodes. They lived on their own. So with this series, each episode they had a mission. They had a mission to complete. They did it or they didn't. How do you think the various episodes and the various missions help contribute to your rating?
I think with any sort of episodic show, it's very easy to get into the villain of the week. And I think Courtney said it earlier about this show is probably, once again, me as a Star Wars stan. I did not watch a lot of Star Trek, but I will say that some of the newer movies, the Simon Pegg movies, kind of brought me over to Star Trek and be like, okay, these are enjoyable. And then the TV shows I have really enjoyed, especially when Star Wars has been crap in the bed. So I think as far as Strange New Worlds, the thing is what really Discovery should have been. I mean, it's in the title, Discovery. For them to go out and find Strange New Worlds and the mission of bringing people into the fold of the Federation or not interfering or whatever, and just experiencing what is out there. I think this show is rock solid, and most episodes can't stand alone on their own. But then even when you have some episodes that you have a callback to stuff in season one, or you have like the finale had a lot of tension in season two, and it was callback to some stuff in season one, which was a callback to the original series, which is fantastic. Like, even though it's funny, you're calling back to the original series from the 60s, but this whole show is set 5 to 6 years before the original series. Like, come on now. That's meta.
Mind bending.
Meta. Yeah, like this, I thought the way that they do these shows, one of my favorite, besides the one with the Stolen Valor, was it Aspera?
Yeah, I was just about to say that's my favorite one. God, it like, really is that one in Lower.
That's the kind of show that
it's like Matlock.
You can teach a college course on that show right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
like it literally, they found a way to turn it into like a legal show, and I would watch that actress having like a JAG Starfleet officer. I would watch that show.
Yeah, but on top of it, it's speaking to the validity and how good Star Trek is. That is a really kind of a callback to Roddenberry's original theme on what Star Trek should represent for the world. And the one thing that I like about Star Trek over Star Wars is fantasy. It's pure fantasy, and it's a rich history. But Star Trek more closely ties to the world that we currently live in and the kind of people that we should be, and that should be applauded. So.
Yeah, I agree. So let's talk about the episode. Go ahead, Cordy.
At the episode Ad Aspera, like I had been, my mother's the one that got me into Star Trek, and she is a huge original series fan. She did not like Next Generation, would not watch parts of it, was like, I quit. No, I'm just OG. And the way that I kept telling her about Strange New Worlds, I said, I think you would like this one. And the way that I got her into watching it was Ad Aspera. And I said, watch this one episode. If you watch this one episode and you don't care about these characters and you don't get anything from it, then quit watching it. But I know you, and I know this is the one that will draw you in. She binged the entire season from there.
Yeah.
Was like telling me about episodes I hadn't seen yet. I was like, whoa, Roman, 1 minute, slow.
So let's talk about these. Let's talk about these episodes. Episode 7 is Those Old Scientists, and this is an episode. It's a crossover episode with Lower Decks. Now, crossover episodes, it's not the first time that this has ever been done, but I thought the caveat for this one was Lower Decks is an animated series and Strange New Worlds is not. So, Chuck, how do you think this crossover was handled? Was it a gimmick? Did it work? Did it not work?
Man, it worked. First of all, Strange New Worlds, the episodes, you don't have to watch them in order for most of them, right? You can watch them in any order. It doesn't matter. And those old scientists, I watched the first season Lower Decks, and they admired the crew of the original Enterprise. They loved them. Like, oh yeah, this. And everything they did was legendary. And for them to cross over and retain their personalities from Lower Decks, which is a goofy show. It's Simpsons. It's like a light version of Rick and Morty. And they crossed them over and it worked. And it was like, we're not going to take it too serious. We're going to take it very serious at the same time. They had a lot of serious points in it, but it just worked. And the fact they brought over the voice actors that looked like their characters, I was like, oh my God, they look just like their characters in real life. Wow, they nailed this. They nailed it. And the whole play on how they did it. Like, you thought the episode was over and something happened. You're like, oh, it's still going. And you wanted that. You're like, I don't want it to be over yet. Then it kept going. Yeah. It was just brilliant. It was brilliantly done. It was like it's playing homage to everything that makes Star Trek great in a Star Trek show from a different Star Trek universe.
Yeah.
In the future.
I agree. And one of the things I actually loved about Strange New Worlds was it didn't take itself too seriously.
Mm-mm.
Like it was a lot of levity during this season, and not everything was like end of the world, end of the universe, which I think like I don't want to crap on Discovery because I do like Discovery a whole lot, but I felt like Discovery took itself a little too seriously. And with this series, like we got a lot of fun throughout that. And that's one of the things that I enjoyed about this bridge. And
Because
another go ahead.
Oh,
No,
no.
go ahead, Cody.
Because it seems like the actors, as the characters, are themselves enjoying what they're doing and enjoying the story that they're telling, especially in those old scientists. Like my favorite, besides like the two lower decks characters, Pike. Pike was such a standout. I mean, he stand out in every episode, but this one, he was so frustrated with I can't think of Huey, and I know that's his character in The Boys. I can't think of the character's name in Lower Decks.
Lower
Boimler.
Decks.
Was it?
Boimler.
Boimler, yes. So he was so frustrated, but yet so protective as still like a captain nurturing a young ensign. You know what I mean? Like he still was such a great captain to both of them, even though he wanted to like wring their necks like a dad. You know, it was just such a powerful opportunity for him to show this different side. And it was fun. Like they found a way to bring the lighthearted levity from Lower Depths to the straight-laced like characters. And even Mr. Spock found a way to give wisdom to Boimler and was like literally from the logical perspective, which is all Boimler wanted. All he wanted was some time with like Mr. Spock. And he got that. It was so good.
I think that what was interesting about this show too, those old scientists is what they called the Enterprise crew, because if this is the 23rd century, Lower Decks is like the 24th century. It's an almost like 2500 AD or whatever. So they're 120 or so years past the Strange New Worlds timeline. So the reverence that they have for them, and it's kind of like seeing like a young Spock, right? Spock and William Shatner's character, Kirk,
Captain Kirk,
are the most recognizable characters in the entire franchise, bar none. But for them to be so off put by seeing Spock smile, none of the books I have show him smiling. No, he's a serious dude. Like, no, what do you mean?
We've messed up.
It's throwing me off. Like, I can't. And I think that's what's great about this particular series is that you see a slightly younger version of Spock struggling with his half human side and his half Vulcan side, and before the greatness that we saw in Leonard Nimoy and what we remember. So, and I think Ethan Peck does a fantastic job as well. So,
even on top of that, not just Spock, but Uhura, they thought she was the party girl, and she was the uptight one. They were like, all she does is work. And because all Beckett wanted to do, I want to hang out with her. I heard she's the party girl. She's on top of her job. She doesn't stress about anything. She's like me. She doesn't worry about her job because Beckett is loose. Her mom's a captain, and she's loose on Lower Deck.
Mariner don't care about nothing.
Mariner doesn't care about nothing. She gives 0 F's.
Was like they called it these old scientists, but towards the end, when the Enterprise crew, Spock and them, start to talk about the people that inspired them, they then said, "Oh shit, we sound like those they do." So it's like each generation kind of builds on each other, and the name those old scientists. So those old scientists being the Enterprise crew, the crew before that, and all of it, like in house like the Federation. So I thought that was very. Let me
throw one real quick thing out here because you sparked it for me, Randy. This episode also is an excellent way to do further crossovers. I don't know how, but like Pike said that his favorite captain, the one that he geeks out about, is the short-lived Star Trek Enterprise series with Scott Bakula as the captain.
Oh, that's right.
That is true.
Oh,
he did say that. The original,
and that's
the
what
original
I
Enterprise.
I forgot that it was the Enterprise. I forgot
Original
about
Enterprise,
that. Yeah. So I thought that was just really.
So that
really
could be
cool.
a way to do kind of a callback and get some just the way that that Prodigies is doing with Voyager, kind of making that new again. The way that Picard kind of breathed new life into the new generation, and we may get the Legacies series out of that. I think that it would be really cool too, I mean, especially because it's the most short-lived, one of the most short-lived, and probably the least regarded series out of Star Trek to have
I never watched it.
Bacula's captain and characters from that come back into the fold. I think that would be
nice. Yeah, that was a good shout out for the writers. I thought that's pretty cool, and you just pointed it out to me. So
yeah,
it's like they're giving flowers to all of Star Trek.
Yeah,
like the characters in this show revere the other captains in other shows.
Yeah.
And they revere them as monuments and not as who they really were.
This is just a side quip. Did anybody know that Ethan Peck is the grandson of Gregory Peck?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
But speaking of him, I thought the episode where he becomes human, where Spock becomes human, I thought his role there was just simply phenomenal. And I think he needs Emmy consideration for that. The way he went from being a Vulcan to being an adolescent boy in an adult's body. I thought that was just brilliant. So Courtney, what did you think of that episode?
I thought that episode was incredible on so many levels because he got to have the freedom that he's never had as a human now that his Vulcan side had been removed. And it also gave him this deeper connection to his mother, which he never sought before, and I love that we got to see her and that she was the one training him how to be a Vulcan or a human in a Vulcan world. And that was so powerful when she was showing him how to do the T, even though your hands are on fire. I was like, if you don't go ahead, and just the way that he defended her at the end of that, it just showed so much growth in him. And it also opened up this opportunity for him to even seek out Nurse Chapel and really kind of, even though it was a little bit of a cop out because he didn't actually break up with T'Pring. T'Pring kind of broke up with him. And he was like, okay, I guess we can try it. I was like, I don't know about that. But he pretty, so I would have been like, okay, too. But then, but also, I felt that I'll be honest. I just thought that he was doing such good work, this whole season, but this episode in particular, really.
You speak about the mother. You said she was human and she was raised in a Vulcan, and she took a human and raised her as a Vulcan because Michael Burnham was basically a Vulcan, right?
Yeah,
she was human, so the mother was like dope. Spock's mom was dope.
She was dope. Like Amanda Grayson was a powerhouse character and figure in Spock's life.
Yeah.
She was revered.
And you could see why the actress in the role, it really captured that.
I think one of the most interesting things, besides everything that you guys have already said, which, and you're right about, Spock did kind of cop out. He didn't break up with T'Pring, but to your point, T'Pring is fine. I'd have seen where that was gonna ride out. I'm staying with T'Pring.
It did. Do you guys think that the reason Nurse Chapel, kind of, even though she went in the relationship after the Lower Decks episode, and Boimler told her that, oh yeah, y'all not gonna be together. Do you think that played a role in her shifting her their desire for the relationship changed? Trying not to spoil.
I think so.
I think yes.
Because I was mad at her. I was like, throw her out the airlock.
I think yes, but I also think that it was just validation for something that she already knew.
It could also be why it happened, the chicken before the egg. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I'm just going to say, I'm going to go on record. Spock is the Riz God. I'm going to use the term the young kids use. He's Riz God. He kissed Nurse
He
Chapel
came through.
for 10, and she was gone. She was like,
gone.
damn.
Listen, in that episode with the pirates, when he was like kind of kidnapped, and that was a real
and he's
kiss.
trying to save
He came through. Listen,
yeah, he came through. She was like, woo.
I'd have been Meredith Grey up in that.
But I wouldn't.
I'd have been Meredith Grey. Choose me. Pick me.
That's right. She turned into a pick me real quick.
Low key, right?
No. When he was an adolescent, when he was an adolescent, he was talking to Lon and he got hard. And she was like, really? Right now? He was like, low key, right?
He don't get right. That was funny. He doesn't get a lot of credit, but low key, like Spock is kind of a stud, right? He had a horror.
He don't get
and I'm
credit.
talking about all
hands. Every time he turns around, I'm like, let's get Spock walking from the back.
And I'm not just talking. I'm talking about the character too. Like, right? He pulled O'Hara in the revamping of it. Topanga is dope. Nurse is dope. Like he's kind of.
He's the man.
Mariner said it. She's like, wait a minute. Did nobody tell me that
he was fine?
She didn't. Nobody tell me the spot was this damn hot.
Yeah, she called him hot spot.
She
called him hot spot.
Listen, that would have been me. All right, yo, maybe I want to stay up in this time and throw my hat in the ring.
She was gone. She looked at all the women in the room like, y'all see him? Y'all see him? He's alive.
The one thing that was cool about that episode too, that Spock's mom taught him about the human art of deception. So for a logical being, she taught him, and that it's easy to think that deception is always bad, but she taught him how deception is sometimes necessary, and how she was able to endure all that she endured because the deception and letting her real feelings be known was necessary to make it through. And I think he gained such a new appreciation for not only for that, but for his mom, like you guys were saying. So I thought that was
and it's not that Vulcans don't have emotions. They have stronger emotions than humans. It's just the culture teaches them to control them better.
Block them out. Suppress it.
Yeah. So that's interesting. All right. So go ahead, Chuck.
I was gonna say, not only that, his mom and how she sat there and took all the stuff T'Pring's mom did and was able to combat her. Because T'Pring's mom, boy, I wanted to put some hands on her.
Listen,
the way she treated her dad, the way she treated T'Pring's dad,
she emasculated him.
I didn't even know that was his dad. I thought it was a servant because like he was so subservient to her. It did. I was like, oh shit, that's the husband because he would just change his mind and everything.
Yeah, because
it explained how to bring
like
who she was. Like I stand up to her, I push back, but she gets on my nerves. Yeah, and it's not you, Spock. This is how she is with everybody.
Yeah, but she had T'Pring. I was proud of T'Pring because she was like, you told everybody on this ship what was going on, and so they were all in on it, but I'm the one you're supposed to marry and you didn't tell me. And let's be honest, they're not actually broken. They're on a break. She didn't say we done. So
of course not. We seen the movies. She marries that man.
Yes.
And I ain't mad at him. He's supposed to marry her.
She's real pretty. She's real pretty.
So one of the other episodes that I thought was interesting was where they were influenced to sing and express their deepest emotions. So Rakai, let's start with you. Did this work for you? Was it a gimmick? What did you think about this episode?
It was absolutely gimmicky, and it worked. I thought that I would hate this episode, like really despise it. Because it's not that it doesn't fit. We're exploring Strange New Worlds. A lot of things can fit in Strange New Worlds, but the genius of the writing and the way that they did it to not make people just sing silly songs, but it brought out their innermost feelings, the ones that you would keep locked up and you would never tell people. And they did it not under duress, but they did it because they didn't have any choice. And then, you know, how the songs would cut off. They're like, oh, I did not mean to say that. I thought like Pike's, relationship with his girlfriend, how Spock really felt about his time out with T'Pring, and what he's feeling about Nurse Chapel. Like a lot of people's, feelings came to the forefront. I thought that was really La'an singing. Come on now, like she did a whole
La'an?
she did a whole piece in the little the lounge. Like
Yeah, she did.
No, that was Chapel.
I thought I would hate it.
Chapel did the lounge. La'an was in her room.
In her room. La'an did her in her room. Yeah, she did in her room, thinking about our man Kurt.
Right. Yeah. La'an's story to me this season, I thought that she did such incredible work because she went from being like the peripheral security officer who, had been kidnapped by the Gorn and really was very like angry and kind of like closed off in the first season to like really divulging and understanding. Like we knew she was a descendant of Khan, but we didn't know how, other than she was angry about that. Like that whole episode when she goes back in time and she has a relationship with Kirk, with then to have the conclusion of that and her still be able to do her job. And she was the one who figured out what the singing represented. And she was also still doing her job, protecting Captain Pike. Like, yo, I'm gonna go ahead and end this call for you. And just like the way that her connection to number one, Una, and Una advising her, and then her choosing to use song to explain to Kirk like what happened. Do you know what I mean? Like why she is the way that she is after having that beautiful montage alone in her room, which was so powerful to me because like as someone who is like, I am an actor and I do musical theater. And like breaking into song, like Rakai said, can sometimes be like this weird kind of thing that just happens on like a stage that is always kind of kooky. But the way that they did it, way they set it up and built it around their research, and that they've connected with an entity that was literally using them as a way to like, support itself. It was just so beautifully written and done and executed. And it still connected to the world of Star Trek. I just thought it was so incredible. And the singing was good too. Like Spock's whole thing about
Spock is dope.
Spock is dope.
If he don't get an Emmy nomination for this season, I don't know if they're gonna have any award ceremony. But but his whole portrayal is just great. And they do explain, kind of what Courtney was just talking about. They do explain how breaking out into songs in musical, it occurs at the most heightened moment of emotion. So it is that awkward transition. Like you have to build up to it. And that's where the emotions were captured, like at the highest level. Go ahead, Rakai.
But they also didn't Disney it, where everyone breaks out in the song and does this elaborate dance number, whatever, and then everyone just goes back to doing what they were doing. No, like certain people broke out in the song, bared their most inner thoughts and their soul, and everybody in there heard. It's not that I'm just singing to myself and you're watching really my inner dialogue and I'm singing a song. No, everyone heard it.
Yeah,
everyone has now acknowledged it. It was like, oh, shit, I didn't know he was feeling that way. Ooh, this is awkward. It was like
y'all just missed the best part of that whole entire episode.
And what that would be
when the Klingons came on screen
as the boy band
number.
As the boy band, and they were like, "This is our dishonor.
This is the disrespect.
this whatever this is the reason of our dishonor."
Man,
it was amazing. Done. I was so done. It was
so
fantastic.
Dude, the Klingons
was like, pull the Klingons up. We need to get them involved.
The Klingons just want to be boy band members.
But they changed K-pop to Klingon pop.
Klingon pop.
Klingon pop. And I was like the Star Trek pop. I was so there for that.
Spock had to go drink Spock had to go drink all the blood
wine. All the blood wine.
Smooth that over.
Came back and couldn't even walk straight.
That just made sense. It just made sense. And the fact that Pike was like, yo, we got to make better relations with the Klingons after this. That was like, I rewind that scene like 3 times. Like, holy I said, did we really just see this? Did this just really happen? They turned the Klingons into a K-pop boy
Yeah,
band.
I expected them to do the bye bye bye.
Oh my God.
They danced. They're doing everything. It was
So,
great.
so Chuck, throughout the series, we get a lot of different missions, but I kind of feel like the Gorn are the big bads of this
Yes.
season. So, how do you think they serve as a big bad to help move this story along?
They're the spooky, right? They're these super hyper intelligent reptiles that just feast on their locusts. They feast on everything. And nobody knows they have any rhyme or reason outside of just dominance, right? And they're really smart. So when they do pop up in the episodes, when they do pop up, as a viewer, I get scared. Like everything's fun and fine and dandy until they pop up. They're like the Borg in a weird sense. But they pop up, all hell's gonna break loose. And how smart they are. And look, I saw them from the original episode when Kirk fights a Gorn, and there's not many of them left. But right at this point, there's a whole lot of them. And I'm thinking, since the Federation is not combined with every race out there right now, the Gorn just picks off everybody as they run into them. Like everybody gets it. And I just think they are very powerful. They're these super strong reptiles that can spit on you to put eggs inside of you.
Yeah.
And then if they won't, they just devour you.
Yeah.
And they are the ultimate big bag. They made them super bad. I wish they made them more human like. But as when I saw the older one that they fought Spock, I'm like, oh, that's the human version of them. They're the creature from Aliens. That's what they felt like. Like, oh,
I
this is
thought
who they are.
the last whole episode felt like an episode of Alien.
Alien,
The
yeah.
whole last episode was so nail biting.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
so uncomfortable and everybody was in danger.
I just love
And it
this
was like
crew
everybody
so
was danger
much.
Will Robinson. Like everybody was Will Robinson. And then we got that like amazing cameo and was so perfectly done. Was so perfectly done that was just an homage to the OTS.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? And I'm not gonna say who the character was, but like the actor who portrayed him was so excellent. Like I was just so happy to see that because there was a moment earlier in this season 2 somewhere where you had like what is it? I guess like the Holy Trinity of Star Trek. You had like Spock, Uhura, and another person. Yeah, Kirk. Yeah, it was like that. And so then to see them add on that last, another piece of our OTS puzzle was just really exciting. And he was dope.
He was dope.
It's a lot of dope characters in this season, in this series. And if we started really talking about them, doing a deep dive on all of them, we'd be here all night. So
the writing, the writers get like the MVP because the things that they come up with and the cast executes it perfectly, but the writing is stellar.
Right now, this is a top 3 show for 2023 for me.
And it triggers so many things from all the movies. All the movies make sense. And all the shows make sense. Like, oh.
And they don't beat you over the head with it. It's well done. It's definitely deserving of a full binge out.
And they never point out canon events. They just kind of happen.
If I were to,
this is a canon event. You know, we got to kill your uncle. We got to kill your dad, who's a police officer. They don't do that. They just let it happen.
Rakan messed me up when he said Baccarat, when he said that, and I was like, oh shit, that was the guy from Enterprise. I'm like,
I picked that up.
I didn't. Yeah, I missed it.
If I could add in this show, like to your earlier question in crosstalk, this show is definitely my number one.
2 seasons in, I think it's the best 2 seasons of Star Trek that I've ever seen.
Yep. Hands down.
Yep. Including the movies.
Yeah.
Including the movies.
Yep. 2 win. Now, I don't know what becomes if we get a 5, because they keep saying 5 years, so I have to imagine the plan is for 5. I don't know what happens in the subsequent seasons, but
we'll see after the strike.
Yeah. Out of the gate, these two, the best.
Well, but not only that, with everything else, Star Trek, being canceled. I mean, this is it. I mean, you got Michelle Yeoh's movie supposedly, you know what I'm saying, Section 9 supposedly coming out
31.
Yeah, Section 31. And
we
then
have a final season of Discovery.
Yeah, you got a final season of Discovery, but I mean, you know that's the final season. You have the second and final season of Prodigy coming out at some point. You know,
Lower Decks is still going.
Are they still
Yeah, Lower Decks is still out there. It got renewed, I thought.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good news. And hopefully thinking that they're maybe from the fan service that they did the last season of Picard turning into a new kind of legacies with 7 of 9 as the captain, and you know, bringing back a lot of new generations people and stuff like that. You know, maybe that'll happen. I don't know. But
just don't bring back Jack Picard. I don't need to see him.
Oh God,
ever,
yeah,
ever
if he
again.
never ever comes back, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But
what's
his name?
Junior.
Yeah, exactly. Little cutie, little cutie. But in terms of our technical director asked if we thought there was going to be a Kirk series, and I don't think there can be until this one is done, because if you have a Kirk series, that means Pike has already had his event, and he is no longer able to captain the Enterprise. So I think I want to ride this roller coaster as long as Picard will give me Picard. I keep saying it. Pike. As long as Pike will give it to me.
And I don't feel like we need a Kirk series. We had the first 2 ones, and we had a bunch of movies. I don't think so.
Well,
one thing I realized, that this is Gene Roddenberry's dream.
Yeah, I think
this
it
is the show he truly wanted to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the pinnacle. He look at Discovery and stuff, he'd probably be heartbroken because it's about crew and family and people getting to know each other.
And I think Pike is like giving a master's class in leadership. Like,
yeah,
I love
is.
how calm he is, how he leverages the knowledge of his crew, and how he's still able to bring it out without being preachy or rah-rah. It's so natural and so seamless.
How he went to bat and he laid it all on the line for number 1. He does that.
And when they were taking him, he was about to he threw hands on the one security guard, and it was like, don't do it, right? Don't do it. He was like, yeah, it's a math. And the way he coached up Uhura, it's like, you're the communications officer. You got to figure this out. This is singing. This is your lane. You got to do
love
this.
for Ortega, like Erica. We've never seen so much love for a pilot in a series.
She had some
you got to stay you got to stay here, Erica. I need you on the ship.
Right.
Okay, something happens, I need you to fly out of here. And she just wanted to go into the ground. She was like, hey, I want to go. Then just like them. Let me.
Then she got to the ground, was like, yo, I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good. I don't need to do this anymore. And so to see, where, I'm really curious as to see, because Ortega isn't someone who is in the OTS. So and I'm really, I don't think this is necessarily a spoiler that the end of season 2 leaves some things undone. People are in peril. It is a cliffhanger.
The way it is, because my heart was like, yes. I'm like, oh no. Man, I tell everybody, they need to watch this show.
Yeah,
this
when they said
on a roller coaster.
They said this happened just mere milliseconds before. I was like, you got to be. And
I knew it though, because I was like, something looked different. The signatures looked different,
I didn't even see that. I was so happy and giddy.
I was like, I feel like there's a catch. And then it was just like, oh gosh, it was just so strong. I was so mad. Then I was screaming. Then I was screaming at the TV, like,
like there's prejudicial feelings in this show, and Pike wants his crew to muscle through it, and I actually empathize on why they couldn't. I actually empathize. I thought Pike was in the wrong. Yo, you're in the wrong for this, my man.
With the Klingon warrior episode.
I didn't remember. Yeah.
The Klingon Warrior
I
episode, yo.
I was heartbroken he was doing this to these people.
And those are true feelings that people who come back from war carry.
Yeah.
And here it is.
Like the way they explain PTSD to me.
And here you bring this guy all up in the bridge, all up in my face, and he laughing and smiling.
And having a good time while people that I know did not come back.
And I had all these friends die. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But then when you hear the real backstory of it, like I actually love Mbenga. I love his character and his portrayal of him on there.
Man, I don't know what happens to Mbenga, but I love that.
He's in the original series.
In the original series.
He's in the original series.
Yeah. He makes it to the original series, and I don't know what happens, but then we get Bones. But Mbenga he's in the original series.
Man,
that was another clue my mom gave me. Oh yeah, he's in the OTS.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Bunny Colvin from the Wire. That's why that actor.
Yeah,
that's what I know him from. Bunny Colvin from the Wire. All right, so I feel like I already know the answers.
Huh? The Klingon Warrior.
Yeah. Bunny Colvin. Yeah. And I feel like I already know the answer, but I'm still gonna ask Chuck, how you gonna re-rate it?
Man, I can rate it higher.
All right, I already I thought you was gonna say something like you was going down. That's why I was gonna cut you off.
Wow.
I thought you were gonna say something joking like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring it down." I was be like, "Rodney, cut his mic off."
This is your choice, but not be honored on here, sir.
Right.
If I could give it higher than the BingeWorthy, I would.
I feel you.
This show made me feel like how Ted Lasso show feels in science fiction.
Yeah,
that's two great things at one time.
And it's real science fiction. They use science to solve problems.
I got back here and I was like, they should have had this all over Comic-Con. It should have been nothing else in all these Paramount houses. It should just been Strange New Worlds everywhere.
Well, they had, in the lodge, they had a deck that like you could sit in the Strange New Worlds bridge and have a caricature made. I got a special Delta pin. I think it's Strange New Worlds from there. And then I saw the crossover episode at Comic-Con.
The crossover episode when they saw the pin, the Delta pin.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin it for anybody who's watching it. It's amazing. It's such an amazing episode.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so amazing.
I just Courtney, I just don't even have enough love.
So I gotta ask, how you gonna re-rate it?
Dude, I'm like Chuck. I mean, I listen, I would make up a new rating and it would be a feast. It was a feast. All things perfect.
What about you, Rikai? How you gonna re-rate it?
Oh, I mean, does it really need to be said? I mean,
it doesn't, but it's part of the job.
No, I think the only thing that I can add to it is this is my new live long and prosper symbol, and I want to be the captain of the USS Compton or something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that look like the West Side. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
What is that? You over here throwing up signs and
live long and prosper.
I was stick with Vulcan.
We out here.
Vulcan.
Yeah, we out here riding on Enterprise and all that.
All these Mark Busters.
Yeah, little Buster Klingons. Bring on them Romulans, fool.
Listen, they'll be like
know what show I want to see now?
You up there in the Enterprise.
You know what show in the Enterprise? I like that. You know what show I want to see? I want to see a Klingon show while the Gorn are still this dominant locust force. Because I'm sure in the Klingon space, the Gorn, they're like, we're going hard. We're going to go hard at y'all. Y'all go hard at us.
And,
Randy, you're mute.
Can y'all hear me?
No, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. For me, I agree with my compadres 100% full binge out. Cool. Rikai, what you guys say before we head out, sir?
Nah, man, this was fun. Even though we have some entertaining shows when we don't agree, it's actually really nice when we all agree and we see eye to eye. Like, this was excellent. I mean, I think as far as sci-fi, there's not a lot of really, really great sci-fi things on television. I think The Expanse was fantastic sci-fi, but I think Strange New World season 1 and season 2 are doing everything they can to bring, especially at a time when Star Wars is down, to bring Star Trek back to the forefront. You know, I know it's not a competition, but Star Trek is kicking some butt right now.
Courtney, got anything to say before you head out, man?
Yeah, like La'an's, I really need to just give her a salute one more time, because when she chose to, she knew she couldn't mess up the timeline by killing the child Khan. So she protected him and thereby protecting herself, and also embracing herself and who she was, because she finally realized where he came from to become the man that he did, and realized that she could choose her own fate. Like, it was such a strong, like, they're just, I just give shouts out to writers again, because, you know, like I said, like there, you know, there is a strike going on. There's actor strike still going on. And shows like this are what remind us why you need great writing teams, why you need to support the writers and the actors, just because that we can't get, this is the culmination of us getting like a dream team, actors and writers. You get amazing shows like this. So just, yeah, we support.
Absolutely. And to echo your sentiments, we stand here at the Gookish Network in full solidarity with the actors and the writers out there on strike. 100%. Chuck, man, what you gotta say before we head out, sir?
Oh man, this show was amazing. I truly enjoyed it, and I hope we out of the era of dark shows and we have something this bright, similar to Ted Lasso. Hopefully, the executives at the network post strike said Ted Lasso did well. Also, people love Strange New Worlds. It doesn't have to be a sitcom to be light. Let's make light, enjoyable shows. Let's make fun shows. Because they make
there's
everything
a lot of dark,
so dark.
a lot of dark and heavy
too.
and depressing and serial killery, and
yeah, they saw Dark Knight and said everything needs to be like that.
And just adding to the darkness. Put Primo on the list of joy.
Good stuff.
Extraordinary Attorney Woo.
Extraordinary Attorney Woo.
Yeah. Korea gets it right. Korea just gets it right.
That's why we're so doggone angry.
Light and warm. Not feeling good.
Like, we need more joy.
Yeah, more joy. That's what we need. Shows with joy.
Yeah. We do. And good characters. And ensemble characters.
And great writing.
We don't
need
great
directing.
We don't need savior stories either, right?
We don't need savior stories.
That's a good thing about this. You know, it wasn't a savior.
It's a team.
Wasn't savior. Yeah, it's a team.
Yeah.
It was a team that came through every time. They had their secrets. They still had their personal secrets in their moments, but they're flawed, but they work well together.
Yeah, I agree. All right. The Geekish Network, we are an organization devoted to helping people of color create content. We've got dope-ass people in front of the camera, behind the camera, just working here. And we do this for people who look like you. So please support us. Like us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, or whatever the appropriate thing is to. We're out there. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. So support us in all of our endeavors. Next week, we'll be here, same back time, same back channel, and we're going to be reviewing Warrior, season 3 of Warrior. So come back here to hear what your binge-worthy crew has to say. And we appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you all later. Peace. Was it? I got it.
Enterprising.
Live long and prosper.
Right. Rakai gave me the West Side. You know, I do one with this and then one on the West Side.
No signs. No signs other than Vulcan.
This is the West Side.
Everybody prosper.
My side. What side? Fool.